Hello everybody, this is Bradley from RaceBeacon, and today we're going to be taking a look at all of the potential penalties that teams could face for breaking the cost or budget cap. So this video comes amid rumours that came out today from Auto Motor und Sport, which is always very fun to say, that paddock rumours suggest that already in the first year, 2021, of the budget cap, of course it was only introduced last year, 2 teams exceeded the $147.4 million budget. Supposedly, one of them to a considerable extent, and the other was supposedly, again here, a rather minor breach. The rumour in the paddock is that the 2 teams are Red Bull and Aston Martin. And once we look at the penalties, we'll come back to why this could be quite significant. So here we are on the Formula 1 financial regulations document. This is a sheet where basically we have all of the potential penalties as per the regulations for what the penalty could be for breaking the budget cap. Obviously, if it's a minor breach, the FIA are not going to go down anywhere near as harsh as what some of these options are available to them. But equally, if it's a very large and deliberate breach of the budget cap, then we could see some of the more harsh penalties applied. So let's take a look at what they are. So, as we see here in 9.1, we have the following sanctions may be imposed for breach of these financial regulations as set out in Article 8, which is all about the budget cap. So, here we go. Number 1, being A here, a financial penalty, which I think will come with any of the options. So, any breach whatsoever of the budget cap, this is a slam dunk. There will be a financial penalty. Williams so far are the only team to have been given a financial penalty from budget cap rule breaking, but that wasn't exceeding the budget cap. That was filing their documents too late, and it was a very minor breach, so it's a very small fine of around $25,000, I believe, dollars? Not sure. So yeah, the first option is a financial penalty, meaning a fine in an amount to be determined on a case-by-case basis. So like I say, more minor breaches like Williams will be $25,000, but a deliberate and major breach could be upwards of several million. The second option we've got available here are minor sporting penalties, meaning one or more of the following. The first being a public reprimand, which I think, much like the financial penalty, is a slam dunk. You'll get the public reprimand, and then any of the following could be added to it. So the second option here, we have a deduction of Constructors' Championship points awarded for the championship that took place within the reported period of the breach. So in this case, it's 2021. So, and again, I cannot stress enough, these 2 teams are not confirmed, and Christian Horner at the end of FP1 to Sky Sports F1 said that Red Bull, yeah, we've been working with the FIA for a long time, we were under the budget cap, nothing to worry about. But of course, we can only go off what the rumours in the paddock are, whatever the rumours being reported in the press are. And at the moment, it seems those 2 are Red Bull and Aston Martin. But much like Red Bull and Ferrari supposedly having illegal flexi floors earlier in the year, and that never really came to fruition, we cannot take this as gospel, which is why this video is more aimed at what the penalties can be. And that leads me on to what will be a more controversial point. We have a deduction of Drivers' Championship points awarded for the championship that took place within the reporting period of the breach. And I'll highlight these 2 things, which could be controversial about that, of course, with how close the championship was last year. But let me tell you right now, the FIA have already taken so much of a PR hit from Abu Dhabi last year, they will not want to come anywhere near that result. They will not want to touch it with the dirtiest stick in existence. I think the FIA would do anything possible to avoid overturning that result, simply because they've had to sack a race director over it and, you know, have flat out refused to change these results. So giving a points penalty to Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez, let's say, or Red Bull themselves, I think maybe Red Bull themselves is realistic because that wouldn't change the championship outcome. But definitely the Drivers' Championship, I think a points penalty could so easily swing it, therefore, into Hamilton's favour. And this is, of course, only if Red Bull, A, actually broke the rules, and B, if they did a very major breach, I'd imagine. So this isn't gospel at all, and I don't think it'll happen. I just don't think the FIA will want to touch that one bit. Whether that's right or wrong, that's not necessarily for me to decide. But if it was a major and deliberate breach from any team on the grid, let me get this straight, we're not talking about Red Bull anymore, from any team on the grid, and it was major and deliberate, then I don't think we should be shying away from these penalties. Because, of course, if the FIA comes down loosely on the teams, then there's just more incentive to break the rules, because you know you're not going to get a major penalty. And then the richest teams keep outspending the poorer teams, and we're back to square one. You may as well not have a budget cap. So we then have the fourth option. We have suspension from one or more stages of a competition or competitions, excluding, for the avoidance of doubt, the race itself. So this is likely to be qualifying and practice sessions, meaning your teams can collect less data heading into the race and probably take a penalty on the starting grid as well by not qualifying. So this is obviously less severe than what we've got a little bit further down in the document, but we'll go on to that in just a second. Fifth option, we have limitations on ability to conduct aerodynamic or other testing. And I have to say, I think this is my favourite one. Obviously, points penalties, they'll be really effective, but going forwards, they don't really impact the team. But limitations on the ability to conduct aerodynamic testing, absolutely, I love that one. I think that's an amazing penalty for teams that breach the budget cap, because it gives them a lasting impact going forward, so they actually suffer from it, because sure, they can design all these parts, but they can't test them till they get them on the car, and that could cost a lot of money, especially if it doesn't go to plan. So for me, I'd like to see this one come into effect, especially on major breaches, maybe even like limited extent on smaller breaches as well, because I think teams should be punished for breaking the budget cap. I don't know if that's controversial. If you agree with me, let me know in the comments down below, I guess. Next up, though, is the sixth option. We have a reduction of the cost cap. And basically, this paragraph then says, I believe, again, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong here, but I think it would then be a reduction in this case, because it's 2021. I think it would be a reduction in the cost cap for 2023. So it'd be effectively 2 years later. It's 1 year after the penalties applied. So I believe that's how that would be read. Which of course is massive. That's really, really big, because a lot of teams are already right on the limit of the budget cap. That means that teams won't be able to bring forward upgrades because they have less money to work with. So here we go now. We have on section C a material sporting penalty. So this is mostly a repeat of what we've had up here, but I think this is sort of a more harsh version of it. So we've got deduction of Constructors Championship points awarded for the championship that took place within the reporting period of breach. Same thing with the Drivers' Championship, and then we've also got the suspension for avoidance of doubt for the race itself, excluding, then limitations on aerodynamic testing. But this is where we get something new, something a bit harsher. Suspension from an entire competition or competitions, including, for the avoidance of doubt, the race itself. So this one is race bans. The team would actually be suspended from races. And then let's say we want to up it another notch. We've also got exclusion from the championship. And I guess that could be constructors or drivers. It obviously doesn't say here. I guess that's up to the FIA's thinking, or maybe it's both of them. Maybe that's what it's meant to apply. But yeah, that's and this won't come as a shock to any of you. I might be stating the obvious here. That's quite a harsh penalty. So again, that would be a major and deliberate breach if that was to happen. And then as the last option here, we've also got, again, the reduction in the cost cap. So what I want to know from you guys is if it's found that a team deliberately and massively broke the budget cap, which of these penalties would you like to see applied to them? Ignore, this part. Ignore when it says what two teams it is. What penalties would you like to see going forward from the FIA for teams that break these rules? Let me know in the comments down below. I always read them and reply to as many as I can. And if you want to keep up to date with all of the F1 news, we've actually got another video coming out on the budget cap in just a couple of days. I made it 2 days ago, so it's weird that, good timing, I guess, that this has come out around the same time. But that'll be coming out in a day or two. So if you want to wait around and see about that, we're looking at if, on the whole, the budget cap has been good or bad for Formula 1. If you'd like to hear what my answer is, at least, then subscribe to the channel and ring the notification bell. We'll also be back with some live streams, hopefully, fairly soon. I've had to take a couple of weeks off, going back to uni, and then also some other things happening in the family. So, yeah, but I don't want to get too bogged down on that. If you haven't subscribed already, please do like the video, share it, whatever you want to do. Guys, until next time, see ya, goodbye.